Hello friend, and welcome to part 3 of the Optimum You Health Orientation. I'm Dr. Melissa, back with you again. Now this next section is called the Pillars of Health. We're going to begin to really look at what makes up health and or what makes the perfect recipe for disease, for breakdown, for wear and tear in your body. So get ready. Make sure you got that pen and paper together. Make sure you've got your workbook, and let's get into it. And you may be sitting here wondering, what is it? What's causing this pain? What's causing these problems? I feel like I've done it all. What's really going on? Can you relate? Well, if you can, keep watching because I've got answers, okay? So the interesting thing is that in the traditional allopathic model, we've all been conditioned to treat symptoms. Now that's the stuff, what we call the tip of the iceberg. It's the symptoms. But the reality is that in order to get correction, to get you off medications, to release the weight, to stabilize the immune system, to prevent autoimmune conditions, to restore health. We can't restore health by simply kissing the boo-boo up here. If all I do is give you a medication to block, and that's all meds do, they're smoke and mirrors. They're blocking, they're fooling the brain, they're fooling the receptors, thinking you've got enough of this or you don't have enough of that. They're not actually correcting a problem. They're managing a state, and they're just kind of begging from Peter to pay Paul, okay? But they're keeping you here. They're not keeping you in a place of health. If you really want to get healthy, then we have to look below the surface. We have to begin to say, why? Why are you in pain? Why do you have cardiovascular disease? Why are you a type 2 diabetic at the age of 32? Why do you have fibromyalgia? What's going on? And there are answers. And again, that's what you're going through here at Optimum Health. The different testing you're going through is really key in looking at these underlying causes. But it's not just about testing. It's also about extensive lifestyle and health history information. It's about understanding your behaviors, your environment. And I don't mean just the environment you live in, but I mean the environment of what's happening every day in your world around you. So let's move through this, because I want you to understand that the way we look at things here at Optimum Health as it pertains to your health is that there's really kind of 5 key approaches that really need to be addressed and looked at if we're going to help ensure that you're in a state of optimal health. So when all of our systems are together, our 5 pillars, think of them, I love this little drawing, think of it like a bridge. And when all of the pillars are strong and there's balance, the bridge is stable, the car can drive right across, right? But as soon as we start to have breakdown, well, man, that's when we're literally going off the road and the bridge is crumbling, it's breaking. So we're going to look at each of these so that we can better understand what's happening in your body. Now, the first one is pretty extensive, okay? Because the interesting thing, so few of us truly realize that you, me, we are interconnected. Our bodies and everything inside of them works together as a dynamic whole. So what's happening in your digestive system directly impacts your immune system, which directly impacts your nervous system, which is directly impacting your musculoskeletal system, which is definitely impacting your excretory system, your reproductive system, your endocrine, your respiratory, your integumentary, your cardiovascular, around and around it goes. They all connect. They all impact one another, meaning you're not a piece and a part. And again, traditional medicine, we were all brought up, and literally traditional medicine was born out of a mechanistic model, this idea that the body is like a car. Literally, it's just take one part out, put another part in. And it's not that simple. We're not a car. We are a complex, very dynamic system that literally is interdependent upon each and every other system. So we were made the way we were made for a reason, okay? We really were. If we didn't need the gallbladder, it wouldn't be in there. If we didn't need the appendix, it wouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're made the way we are very intentionally, and it all works together. Now, when our systems begin to have functional distress. That's breakdown. Those are the early warning signs, the mild symptoms that happen occasionally. Then they start to happen a little more frequently. Then they start to get a little bit more severe. Then it starts to compound, okay? The systems begin to break down. When one system goes offline, it starts to have a domino effect. And literally, because they're all so interconnected, everything will impact everything else to a greater or lesser extent, depending on what's happening and the severity of your problem. Now, your team at Optimum Health is going to help you, to the extent that you want to know more about this, really understand the systems. In the workbook that accompanies this, we go into a little bit more depth, helping you to understand a bit about each of these systems. But the point of this today isn't so much science class as it is to help you to understand everything works together. And we look at you, and our approach to helping you restore your health is we take a holistic approach. And I don't mean that we're, burning candles in the room, which is lovely if there are, but what I mean is we are treating the whole of you. Everything that's working together to either strengthen your health or tear it down. When we go through the testing, it lets us really know our critical systems. Where are you most offline? Where are the biggest issues that need immediate support, that need immediate action, okay? And oftentimes, and we'll talk about this in an upcoming class here in the orientation, we talk to our patients about detoxification, because detoxification, really, what we do within that process literally impacts every system in your body very quickly, very efficiently. So to really get great momentum and get great results and really get you out of this chronic pain and the problems you've been dealing with and low energy and hormonal imbalance, it's the fastest way to get your body back to reset, to immediately bring down some of those stressors, if you will, and get the systems kind of all re-regulating. So more on that coming up, but I just kind of wanted to tune you in. So you are your human body, and the more you wear down, the quicker you lose function. The more you lose function, the more you go to dis-ease, and as your body is out of ease, out of balance, now you're perfectly positioned for disease, chronic disease states. And one of the fastest ways to get you there is through stress. Now, we have a whole stress class, so I'm not going to take a lot of time with this because you're going to learn more about it as you move forward into Optimum U. But stress, it's the mental, it's the emotional, it's the chemical, it's the environmental, the toxins, it's, the physical, it's the trauma, it's the overuse, it's sitting at the computers all day, day after day after day after day. It's infections and drugs and medication, so it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's chemical, it's environmental. It's everything from the air we breathe and the foods that we're drinking to the plastic water bottles to the synthetic clothes that we're wearing. We are stressing our bodies out. Again, tune into the stress class so you can find out about that in depth. But for right now, stress is one of the pillars, because if we don't deal with our stress, we think it's a badge of honor. I'm just stressed. I'm just stressed. It's almost like that's our past these days. If you're stressed, then that means you're valuable, you're busy, you're doing something. Well, busyness and stress doesn't help you. It doesn't mean that you're successful. It doesn't mean anything other than you're wearing your body down. And I don't care how much money, how many titles, how much accolades, how much fullness you have from all that busyness and all that stress, because what it's doing is putting you on the fast path to disease. And if you stay on that path, all the money in the world isn't going to get you healthy if you're not willing to change and look at your stress in a new and different way. So again, the stress reduction class is one of the most important classes that you can take here in Optimum U, because it's designed just to give you quick and simple tools to lower your stress, just to understand how you can respond to things differently so that you stay in a healthy state, you stay in a healthy response. You can't control the stress. You can control you. Okay, so another class for another time, but again, this is one of our key pillars, so I want you to begin to tune in. Start to kind of take that mental list of what are some of your stressors, and if you had to rate it on a scale from 10, how severe is it? How stressed out, how much processed food are you eating? How little exercise, or are you over-exercising? How much traffic are you sitting in a day, and do you love it or do you hate it? If you had to quantify your stressors, then what number would you give it? And where are you most out of balance? So again, this is all awareness right now. That's what the orientation class is all about, helping you just to have more of this global picture of understanding the things that make up health and also tear it down. So of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say one of the most essential pillars to health and to, dis-ease correction is proper nutrition. We've all heard that you are what you eat, and this is absolutely essential, but you are also what you absorb. Now, we talk a lot about this in the nutrition class, but if you're not eating the right foods, if you've got a lot of GI breakdown, leaky gut, intestinal permeability, you're not absorbing nutrients. And if you're not absorbing them, then your body's not getting what it needs. It's perceiving it's being starved. It's slowing down metabolic rate. It's storing fat. It's keeping you fatigued. It's keeping hormones in balance. It's not your friend. It's not a good thing. So we always start with nutrition. Again, it is one of the things that you do at least 3 times a day, right? And if you're a big snacker, if you do lots of little things, you might be eating even more than that. But all of us are typically doing this act of eating at least 3 times a day, meaning you've got 3 chances or more every day to align yourself with the fast track to health and healing or the fast track to breakdown, destruction, dysfunction, disease. It's your choice. There's no judgment from me. I'm just the educator here to give you the information. What you do with it is ultimately up to you. But again, begin to take a mental inventory right now. And even on your 90-day plan, on your 1-year plan, how are you eating right now? If you had to really be honest with yourself, is your nutrition a meal plan that is aligning you with health? Is it whole, natural foods from Mother Earth? Or is it a lot of quick, convenient things coming out of boxes, bags, and drive-thrus? Because if it's the latter, then you're not eating for health, okay? You're definitely eating for disease. So begin to think about it, because real food, again, is that whole, natural, and complete. It's produced by nature. It's meat and fish and fruits and veggies. It's the natural stuff. It's beans, it's nuts, it's seeds. Now, the almost real food is going to be some of those things that are packaged with 5 or fewer ingredients. Again, we talk a lot about this in the nutrition class, but you're going to turn the box over, you're going to look at the label, you're going to look at ingredients. How many ingredients are in there? A, do you understand everything? If you do, then your body does. If you don't, chances are your body doesn't, okay? We've got a lot of science happening in our packaged foods today, so it's very important to look and to be aware so you can make an educated decision. Is this moving me to health? Is this moving me to disease? Is this moving me towards my 1-year plan, my 30-day, my 90-day plan, or is this moving me and keeping me stuck here in disease? The choice is up to you. So just turn the package around and look. Partly real food, 5 to 15 real food ingredients with 1 to 3 barely food ingredients. So what's a barely real food? Well, processed things with 5 or more ingredients. So they're processed. They're things like hydrogenated oils, okay? Those are fake. They're made in a science lab. Mostly fake food is pretty much fast food, and fake food is powdered drink mixes, Kool-Aid, Crystal Lights, a lot of those artificial sweeteners. They are toxins, they're neurotoxins, they're no good for you. Sucralose, aspartame, please get rid of it, get it out. If you're drinking diet anything, it's crap. This isn't my opinion, this is scientific fact, but it's so bad for your hormones, it's so bad for your brain, it's so bad for your overall health and well-being. So these are some things that I want you to begin to be aware of. Check in with your Optimum Health team, because we do occasionally do grocery shopping tours, and that's something we love to take our patients on so that we can really give you that real-time environment and that to be able to look at those labels. But as we go into nutrition class and the gluten-free class, we go more into labels and helping you to understand ingredients. So there's more on that. Right now, remember, we're just becoming aware. So all I want you to think about right now is just begin to notice what you're eating. Are you doing a lot of the fast, convenient stuff, which is probably barely real food or totally fake? Or are you already doing a lot of cooking at home, going to the farmer's market, going to Publix, getting the real ingredients, cutting, slicing, dicing, cooking yourself? Just begin to take inventory and put that on your plan so we can begin to align you with health. Now, next up, of course, is movement. It's exercise. It's how your body was designed. It was designed to move. If you weren't meant to move, you'd be like a little sloth. You'd just kind of be crawling, right? You'd be slugging around. But you and I have these beautiful bones and muscles and limbs that were made to move. So please do your body a favor and move. Now, according to the American Heart Association, baseline is 150 minutes per week of mild to moderate intensity exercise. That's just to keep good health, okay? So if you're an exerciser already, and that really equates to 30 minutes 5 times a week, it can be, 60 minutes, 3 times a week, so you can break it up. It can be 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes at night. It doesn't have to be continuous. So this is where I love the apps. I love getting you tracking your steps, having something quantifiable, really using wearables for digital technology. It's one of the best ways to help ensure that you're moving your body. Now, if you're not moving at all, again, we're in orientation. So if you're not exercising, quantify that. What are you doing right now? None? Hardly ever? So where do you want to be in 30 days? Where do you want to be in 90 days? Where do you want to be in a year? Do you want to be able to be at a point where you're, exercising 3 times a week for 20 minutes? Do you want to be at a place where you're exercising every day for 40 minutes? What is it? But we want to stair step it. Please, no overnights. Remember, we're taking this nice journey, so we want to move in baby steps. If all of a sudden you think you got to change your food, and you got to change your exercise, and you got to change your regimen and your sleep, you got to change it all. You're going to be overwhelmed and you're not going to be compliant. So stop. The whole point of going through this orientation and beginning to understand the pillars and the elements and your baseline of kind of where your risks are and what's keeping you in crisis and what's going to help move you to health is to really target in on those top few most critical areas. Begin to say, what are the things that I could do that can make the biggest shift? And remember, food is going to be one of the fastest ways to realign you with health, even, believe it or not, more so than exercise straight out of the gate, because food can be very inflammatory, food can be very disease promoting, or it can be very health promoting. So begin to really work with your team members and determine, hey, what are my most critical points, so that you can lay out that plan and you're going to make changes a little bit at a time each day, moving in that direction, okay? So then next up, of course, is sleep. It's crucial. It's crucial. And so many of us are really not doing well in this department. So when it comes to sleep, here's what you need to know, is that sleep is your body's way of resetting itself naturally. And it's absolutely essential that it does this. Like I said earlier, you and I, our bodies are designed, we have rhythms. So think of the seasons. We have a sleep-wake cycle called the circadian rhythm. So think about the ebb and the flow of the tide, of the ocean. Our bodies are the same way. So we have hormones that rise and they fall. And hormones are our messengers. They help to ensure that metabolically we're active and everything is happening the way it's supposed to. Sleep. So during the day when we're very metabolically active and we're breathing and we're moving and we're burning and we're utilizing energy, that's called a catabolic state. So we're in the act of breaking down energy and using it. At nighttime, that's what's called an anabolic state. That's our time of rest and repair. And a really interesting thing happens if our bodies are in a state of health, is that at about 10 o'clock is when our cortisol is at its lowest point. And this is really important because from about 10 p.m. to about 2 a.m., that hormone is going to be at its lowest point. That's going to keep you in your most, that's literally your anti-aging window. Okay, that's when you're going to burn the most fat. That's when you're going to regenerate the most tissue. That's when your body's going to be the most metabolically restorative, and it's going to be the most balancing. Okay, so that's kind of that magic window. So when we begin to think about sleep, how much should you get? When should you do it? Really, research shows us 7 to 9 hours a night is ideal and what most people need. Okay, when you're getting 7 to 9 hours, it's showing increased longevity, it's showing healthier weight, easier weight loss. It slows down the aging process. So again, it's very anti-aging. So lots of good reasons why we want to be sleeping, right? It's the time for the pain cycle to come down, the body to rest and repair. Now, let's say you're getting to bed at midnight And really that magic window is 10 to 2. Ideally, man, 10 is the prime real estate time of when you want to be in bed sleeping, okay? But let's say you're at midnight right now and you're like, oh my gosh, Dr. Melissa, you're making me change all my food. You're making me change my exercise. And now you want me to go to bed at 10? Are you crazy? I get it. I totally get it, okay? Think baby steps. Think baby steps. So if you are a midnight bedtimer, make your first goal just to move it back a half hour. So how about 11:30? Could you do that? Could you just consider that for me, for you, for your health, for your healing? So begin to think of it like that. And you can take it a little step at a time. So first, get in bed by 11:30 and do that for a few weeks. Then move it back to 11. Do that for a few weeks. See if you can get it back to 10:30. Okay, so I know so many of us, like nighttime, especially if you're a parent, is kind of your time, right? It's the time for you, for your spouse, or just your alone time, or your catch up on email time, or your social media time. But here's the thing. All those electronic devices literally disrupt that circadian rhythm, and they disrupt the release of our normal hormones, which affect the sleep-wake cycle. So it's really good to make sure you're turning off all devices at least 30 minutes before bedtime, okay? It's also really important that you're not eating at least 2 hours before bedtime. And here's the big one. No sugar, no alcohol before bed. Really, it should be at least 2 hours because it's going to interfere with your sleep cycle. It's going to prevent you from going into a deep sleep. All right. So sleep is essential. If you want to get healthy, if you want to get well, if you want to lose that weight, if you want to feel your best and be vitalistic, you got to get the sleep part right. So again, begin to take inventory and notice where things are at because it's all a balance and nothing is static. So when I say, look at your benchmark right now. Where are you at in these categories? Where are you doing pretty good? Where are you way out of balance? If you're eating a lot of crappy food, you're out of balance. If you're eating really pretty decent food and you just need to make a few tweaks, great. You're not too far off center, but maybe sleep's way out of balance. Okay, so what is it when you think about it? Are you having a lot of symptoms and they're really high on that 1 to 10 scale? They're 8s, they're 9s, they're 10s? Or are your symptoms more mild? You know, they're like 4, 5, and 6. And so these are all things. So that's helping us to understand some of the areas or the body systems that might be impacted. So that's what I mean about tuning in and noticing your pillars because it really is all a balance. It's not a static one and done. It's a process. And that's why we're here together. Now, when we go back and we're almost done with this section, what I want you to take away is that when we look at this iceberg analogy, kind of the symptoms or the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, what's happening below this is that really we understand that genetics, and we talk about this in the What's Making You Sick video. It's an important one to watch. But we talk about the role of genetics and environment and lifestyle, how they all come together to really create those symptoms and that will then lead to illness. So a lot is happening beneath the surface. That's why we take so much time and go through all of this. So I know that was a lot. Whew. Take a breath. Your homework as we leave section 3, again, look at your pillars. Your pillars. Look at the review of your body systems. How are you feeling? What are your symptoms? Okay. Look at your stress levels. Where are you most stressed? Where do you feel the least amount of stress? Maybe you don't think that stress is your issue, which is awesome if it's not. What's your nutrition like? What's your movement like? What is your sleep like? Take an inventory because wherever you're breaking down, that's where the car can go off the track. So continue on. Up next, part 4, we're going to really talk about the power of detox. Until then, I'm Dr. Melissa. Continue to stay amazing.